Northwood High School sits quietly on a tree-lined street looking like any other small-town school, but behind its brick walls, a silence lingers, a silence that began decades ago. It started on a cold Tuesday when the school's janitor, Arthur Pym, walked into the boiler room and vanished. He locked the door behind him. He never came out. The story became a local legend, a ghost story whispered by students. For those who remember, it's not a legend, it's a wound. How does a man disappear from a locked room with no exits, no way out? The police had theories. The town had rumors. None fit the facts. The school itself seems to hold the secret. At night the hallways feel different. The hum of the lights seems to whisper his name. Teachers say you can feel a chill near the boiler room door, a cold spot with no explanation. They say it's Arthur, still there, still waiting. The school's been renovated, but you can't paint over a memory. You can't replace a ghost. The question remains, hanging in the air. What happened to Arthur Pym? Did he find a way out no one's discovered? Was he the victim of a perfect crime? Or did something stranger happen in that dark room? The story begins on an ordinary day, a day that ended with a mystery haunting Northwood High forever. A mystery that started with the simple, final turn of a key in a lock. And from that moment, nothing at Northwood High was ever the same. The silence settled in, and it never left. This is the story of Arthur Pym. Arthur Pym was a man of habit, as much a part of Northwood High as the squeak of the gym floor. At 58, he'd worked there for over 20 years. Quiet, polite, and solitary, he lived alone just blocks from the school. Neighbors described him as distant but kind, tending his garden and keeping to himself. His life was the school. He knew every creak, every flickering light. His routine never changed. Arrive at 2, start on the top floor, work his way down. The jingle of his keys and the swish of his broom were part of the building's rhythm. Teachers saw him as a silent guardian, always present, always reliable. Arthur took pride in his work. The floors shone, the windows gleamed, and repairs were done before anyone asked. He had a soft spot for the library, sometimes pausing to touch the old books. Mrs. Gable, the librarian, called him the kindest man she'd ever met. He had no enemies, no debts, no family disputes. His savings were untouched, his truck had new tires, and a library book waited on his nightstand. These were not the actions of a man planning to leave. They were the habits of someone expecting to return to his quiet life. That's what makes his disappearance so baffling. No one could imagine him running away. No one could imagine him simply vanishing. Arthur Pym followed his routine day in and day out, until the day the routine broke. And when it did, it left a hole in the heart of Northwood High. The school lost more than a janitor, it lost its sense of certainty. Arthur's absence became a question mark that no one could erase. His story is not just about a missing man, it's about the mystery he left behind, and the ordinary life that ended in an extraordinary way. Arthur Pym was the last person anyone expected to disappear. October 28, 1985. A Monday. The air was crisp, the sky gray. Arthur arrived at 2, exchanged a few words with the secretary, and began his rounds. Teachers saw him working, nothing unusual. Around 6, he headed to the basement, the final part of his routine. The boiler room was his domain, the heart of the school. He checked the gauges, as always. Coach Miller saw Arthur walk past, nodded, and Arthur nodded back. The last time anyone saw him. The boiler room door was heavy steel, locked with a special key only Arthur carried. Standard procedure, lock the door from the outside when finished. But that night, something changed. After 6:15, the door was closed and locked. The next morning, the school was cold. The heat wasn't on. Arthur was never late, never forgot the boiler. The principal sent the morning janitor to check. The door was locked, and only Arthur had the key. Calls to Arthur's home went unanswered. The fire department was called to cut the lock. They sliced through the bolt, swung the door open, and found an empty room. No Arthur, no sign of struggle, just silence. The impossible had happened. A man had vanished from a locked room. The mystery began with the last turn of a key. And from that moment nothing made sense. The school would never be the same. The legend of Arthur Pym was born, and the questions would only grow. How does a man disappear from a locked room? The boiler room was untouched, except for one thing. Arthur was gone. His cleaning cart sat outside, a half-empty trash bag in its bin. Inside, his jacket was folded on a stool, a thermos of coffee still warm. In the center of the room, his keyring, including the special boiler room key. The door had been locked from the outside, yet the only key was now inside. A paradox. Police searched every inch solid concrete floor, thick brick walls, no other doors. 3 small, barred windows, too narrow for anyone to fit through. The bars were rusted, untouched for years. Detectives measured, tapped, and searched for hidden passages. Nothing, no trapdoors, no secret exits. It was as if Arthur had dissolved into thin air. No signs of struggle, no blood, no disturbed dust. Just an empty jacket, a warm thermos, and a key that should have been outside. The room offered no clues. The police were stumped. The locked room mystery had no answer. The facts defied logic. The impossible had happened. And the legend of Arthur Pym grew. The school would never forget. The mystery was just beginning. News of Arthur's disappearance spread quickly through Northwood High. The official story was that he left, but no one believed it. Police cars, rumors, and fear filled the halls. Students whispered wild theories, mob ties, secret tunnels, ghosts. The boiler room became a forbidden zone, a place of dares and legends. Teachers tried to hide their confusion, but they were just as shaken. Mrs. Gable, the librarian, remembered Arthur as gentle and kind. "He wouldn't hurt a fly," she said. "He loved this school. Something happened to him. It wasn't his choice." Students, now adults, recalled daring each other to approach the boiler room, convinced it was haunted. Some believed he'd found a hidden tunnel. Others thought the boiler had swallowed him whole. These stories became part of the school's folklore, a way to cope with the unexplainable. For the staff, the reality was grim: an empty cart, a jacket on a stool, a man gone without a trace. The school was no longer just a place of learning. It was the scene of an unsolved mystery. The ordinary had become terrifyingly strange. Arthur's absence was felt everywhere. The legend grew with every retelling. The students and staff were left with questions, not answers. The school's identity changed forever. The mystery became part of its walls, and the silence lingered. Northwood High would never be the same. Detective Frank Miller, a veteran cop, took the case. He believed in facts, but Arthur Pym's disappearance defied logic. They had the who, where, and when, but not the what or why. The locked door was the heart of the mystery. Miller's team interviewed everyone, retraced Arthur's steps, and searched his immaculate house. No notes, no signs of a planned departure, just a TV dinner in the freezer. The investigation was thorough. Engineers examined the boiler room, blueprints were checked, no hidden passages found. The idea of a partner or accomplice didn't fit. Why leave the keys? Why stage such a bizarre scene? Every theory hit a wall. Miller admitted the case haunted him long after retirement. "You go over it in your head," he said. "Maybe the killer was hiding, maybe it was a heart attack and someone panicked, but the key, it contradicts everything." The little brass key became the symbol of the case, mocking, unsolvable. The police were left with nothing but questions. The locked room mystery remained. Miller never found peace with the case. The evidence didn't add up. The facts refused to fit any theory. The mystery endured. Arthur Pym's disappearance became a legend, and the key, still in an evidence bag, is a reminder of the impossible. Some puzzles are never solved. The simplest theory was a tragic accident. Maybe the old boiler malfunctioned, steam, a leak, or a sudden explosion. Someone could have found Arthur, panicked, and removed his body, locking the door behind them. But there was no evidence, no damage, no residue, no sign of an accident. The room was pristine. The key couldn't have been slipped under the door. The door was airtight, no mail slot. The facts didn't fit the theory. The accident explanation fell apart. The mystery deepened. If not an accident, then foul play, murder. Maybe Arthur interrupted a crime, or someone was waiting for him. The killer would have to remove the body, stage the scene, and return the key inside. Police explored every possibility: lock-picking, a hidden accomplice, even the idea of hiding in the boiler. Forensics found nothing. No remains, no evidence. The room was too small, the search too thorough. The foul play theory, like the others, hit a wall. The crime seemed to require a ghost. 40 years later, Northwood High has changed, but the story remains. The police file gathers dust, but the community still wonders. Every few years, new theories surface, some wild, some desperate for closure. The lack of answers is its own haunting. The town hopes for a confession, a clue, anything to end the story. They want to know what happened to the quiet man who cared for their school. Until then, the mystery endures, a testament to the fact that some questions have no answers. Arthur Pym left behind a legacy of pure, baffling mystery. In the quiet halls of Northwood High you can almost hear the echo of his keys, a faint jingle from a ghost who never left. And so, the silence of Northwood High continues.